Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bruce Frisco. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of December. This is CTV News. Tonight's snow joke. First nor'easter of the season slams into the Maritimes. Assessing assessments. Is it time to ditch the property tax cap in Halifax? And under the microscope, a Nova Scotia researcher recognized for her all-natural tick repellents.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News. Here is Bruce Frisco.
And this is a live look at Fredericton on this Tuesday night. -4 right now in the capital city. The roads, as you see, snow covered thanks to the storm system that moved in today, and it's far from finished with us. And as you might expect, today's wintry blast has resulted in some less than ideal driving conditions around the region. Number of accidents being reported all over the Maritimes, including several in Nova Scotia's Kings County. This crash was one of 3 involving tractor trailers on Highway 101 today. This one happened just after 5 p.m. Wolfville and Hantsport firefighters joining RCMP and EHS in responding. Fortunately, no reports of any serious injuries. Emergency crews in Halifax responding to this accident on the Portland Street overpass on Highway 111. This was Dartmouth this evening. This call came in just before 8 p.m. Driving conditions are expected to deteriorate after midnight again. Kaylin will have more details on that coming up in just a moment or two. In St. John, city crews spent the day preparing for the first major snow event of the year. CTV's Avery McCrae has that story.
Before the first flake even fell, crews around St. John were busy preparing for what's expected to be the season's first significant snowfall.
Over the last couple of days, as we've seen the storm approaching, making sure people are ready, our equipment's all ready to go, so that we respond when the storm starts.
By mid-afternoon, the snow had started. As much as 15 centimeters could fall in parts of New Brunswick and PEI, while Nova Scotia will see a healthy mix of snow, ice, and rain. Municipalities like St. John are prepared for a long night on the streets with a full arsenal of snow clearing equipment. Meanwhile, regional transportation hubs like Halifax Stanfield International Airport are prepared to keep operational disruptions to a minimum, with 32 staff on hand to de-ice planes and keep runways clear.
If people have travel plans, we would encourage them to check the status of their flight directly with their airline prior to coming to the airport, and also just ensuring that you give yourself lots of extra time to arrive to the airport safely.
Here in St. John, this first big snowfall will be the city's first look at their snow clearing efforts for the season ahead. Last year, some streets and sidewalks went days and even weeks before seeing a plow. Uptown St. John Executive Director Nancy Tissington says people will be watching, and the city knows it.
We are going to be being a little bit louder this year as far as advocacy on behalf of our businesses to make sure that these city streets, the 26 blocks, are really cleared for our residents to walk down, for our workers to come in.
With a total of 35 street plows and another 11 dedicated to sidewalks, O'Reilly says they are ready.
Last winter, 5 to 6 storms, we were below 75% of our deliverables. So we have several measures putting in place this year to increase that service standard for the community.
A community who for the next few months best have the shovels handy and salt secure as winter has arrived. Avery McCrae, CTV News, St. John.
Okay, this seems like the perfect time to bring in Kaylin Mitchell from the CTV Atlantic Weather Center. Is this everything you expected and more?
Yeah, it's a messy night out there in the Maritimes, that's for sure. Some areas seeing some heavy rain move through, and other areas some heavy snow. Let's talk about the snow a little bit. So part of the Maritimes is going to be seeing some of the lightest snow is northern areas of New Brunswick. Down through central and southern areas of New Brunswick, a fairly widespread 5 to 10 centimeters of snow expected. Now, between St. John and Moncton in the southeast, there is potential for some snowfall amounts coming up between 10 and 20 centimeters of snow. So snowier for that area of the province, and also snowier Charlottetown and east and Prince Edward Island, potential for 10 to 20 centimeters of snow there. And then for Nova Scotia, that's where the bulk of this heavier mix of snow and rain is taking place. The highest potential for snow that could range 10 to 30 centimeters in northern parts of that province, including Cumberland and Colchester counties, parts of Pictou and Antigonish counties, mostly at higher elevations and away from the coast, parts of the Annapolis Valley, and certainly up in the Cape Breton Highlands. Then less snow towards Atlantic coastal Nova Scotia, where the rain could total between 30 and 50 millimeters. So we do have a variety of weather alerts in effect around the region. First of all, we have an orange warning for snowfall for the Cape Breton Highlands. That is an elevated warning level by Environment Canada, and it's because of the higher amount of snow expected there, between 30 and 50 centimeters. For the yellow warnings, we have snowfall warnings up for Kings County and Prince Edward Island and those northern areas of Nova Scotia. In Kings County PEI, 15 to 20 centimeters of snow. For the snowfall warnings in Nova Scotia, 20 to 30 centimeters expected. Wind warnings are out for both Cape Breton County and Richmond County and Cape Breton. There Wednesday morning, some peak wind gusts getting into 90 kilometers per hour. And rainfall warnings for Yarmouth and Shelburne counties with rainfall totals near 50 millimeters. Special weather statements extend to the south of New Brunswick and the remainder of PEI, calling for potential 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. And on the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, where along with 30 to 45 millimeters of rain, there may also be some higher than normal water levels. Halifax down towards Shelburne at high tide Wednesday morning. I'll have more on the forecast when I'm back a little bit later on. Bruce.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
16-year-old boy who was originally charged with threatening to harm students at a high school in Halifax will learn his sentence tomorrow. The boy was charged back in April, ultimately pleading guilty to 8 weapons-related offenses. Police seized shotguns, rifles, and a pair of brass knuckles at his home. Authorities got a tip from an operator at a suicide prevention hotline. The teen was planning an attack at the school. He spent 173 days in custody before being released. He apologized before today's hearing ended. Sentence again is expected tomorrow. Man wanted by police has been arrested in Fredericton for failing to appear in court on a charge of conspiracy to commit murder. This footage is of 30-year-old Nicholas Daniel Bain being taken into custody this afternoon near the Fredericton Community Kitchen. Bain is one of 5 people accused of plotting to kill the son of a couple who were found dead in their home in Dieppe back in 2019. As we told you yesterday, 4 others made their first court appearances in the case, but Bain, who was not in custody, was a no-show. He will appear in court in Moncton at a future date. After much pressure, the city of St. John has launched a pair of pilot projects to protect small businesses from rising crime rates. The community safety and security team will soon be patrolling the Uptown, Waterloo Village, and areas around the local shelters. The team will run 24/7 and focus on prevention and de-escalation rather than enforcement. In addition, businesses can now apply for grants of up to $7,500 a year to cover damage and security costs.
We know that these two working together will create far more success than either one individually. The CSS team and the Community Resilience Fund represents a holistic approach to community safety. They balance immediate response with long-term prevention, and they demonstrate our city's commitment to working hand-in-hand with residents, businesses, and community partners.
The team is expected to start patrolling the streets in February. The first round of grants will be awarded in April. This is bound to be controversial. Some Halifax councillors are wondering whether it may be time to revisit, perhaps rethink, property assessment caps. While many homeowners like the stability, the system has created a lot of scenarios where similar homes on the same street are paying vastly different property tax bills. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more.
On many Halifax streets, 2 similar homes like these in the Hydrostone neighborhood can fetch 2 very different tax bills. The provincial property tax cap assessment program aims to limit how much a property's assessed value can climb, essentially protecting longtime homeowners from sudden jumps.
I've been hearing from a number of new homeowners that they are paying significantly higher property taxes than their neighbors.
If you've recently bought a home, you don't get that cap price the previous homeowner paid. You pay the full market assessment. Councillor Steele says that is unfairly hurting newer home buyers and often younger families who are paying the most.
And some other jurisdictions in Canada that had caps actually removed the caps because it was causing market distortion.
This realtor says the cap may be keeping more people like seniors in homes that they might otherwise downsize because they're worried about a bigger tax bill if they move.
No, you're not seeing as many new listings come to the market, and then really it's benefiting people that have owned property for a long time, but it's really gatekeeping younger people from getting into their first home ownership.
Steele's motion asked staff to come back with a report and spell out exactly how the cap is affecting affordability and availability, and whether the cap system is still fair. Councillor Tony Mancini agrees it's time for a review, even if the cap benefits people like him.
But if my kid buys the house across the street that's similar to mine, he or she's going to end up paying more for the same type of house. But I also think about seniors, right? Seniors that want to stay in their house, if they don't have a cap, that becomes more difficult. So it's worthwhile reviewing.
Depending on what staff find, Halifax may call on the province to change the Assessment Act to phase out some of the imbalances, but ultimately it's up to the province. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
New Brunswick is going to spend nearly $1.5 billion next year on things like roads, schools, hospitals, and housing. This is a record capital budget in New Brunswick worth $1.47 billion. $680 million goes to transportation. Health will get $247.3. Education, another $242.6 million.
This capital plan supports ongoing multi-year projects, addresses infrastructure needs, and ensures fiscal responsibility.
The government continues to spend as if the deficit does not exist, offering New Brunswickers slogans rather than solutions.
Budget also includes some money to upgrade ventilation in schools and cash for aerial fire suppression and a new warehouse for wildfire management equipment after one of the busiest wildfire seasons in recent memory. Nova Scotia is boosting minimum wage to $17 an hour by next fall, but the province is not considering a guaranteed basic income. That's something that advocates have been pushing for. The minimum wage increases will come in 2 installments over the next year, but that guaranteed basic income isn't on the table right now. Simply put, the government says it's just far too expensive.
It would really mean basically reducing all of the benefits that we currently provide and having one streamlined process.
Poverty rates, food insecurity, and food bank use are all rising. Housing prices are out of reach for many, and non-market housing levels are far too low.
Advocates argue the guaranteed income supplement and old age security pension for seniors are proof that guaranteed incomes reduce poverty and overall costs to society. Okay, still to come tonight, Kalen's full forecast, and we'll examine some creative ways to give back on this Giving Tuesday. Coming up next, though, another one gone.
It's sad. I mean, we tried our best to hopefully convince them that they wouldn't tear it down, but they felt that it wasn't safe.
For the 3rd time this year, another iconic covered bridge is disappearing in New Brunswick. Details are next.
With Aaron and Peter. Tomorrow at 7, instant mashed potatoes. Is that okay for your holiday dinner? One of us is wondering, and it's not me.
It moves 20K holiday first keyword tomorrow at 6.
Another covered bridge in New Brunswick has a date with the wrecking ball. This is another blow for a provincial symbol that's increasingly becoming an endangered species. Here's CTV's Derek Haggett.
What's left of the Poirier covered bridge in Notre Dame will likely be gone in the very near future. That's the 3rd covered bridge in New Brunswick to be lost this year, the most since 1989. Last February, the William Mitten Bridge in Riverview was demolished because it had fallen into disrepair and couldn't be saved. The Shepardy River number 3 covered bridge near Riverside, Albert, was dismantled in the spring, but was replaced with a single-lane modular bridge.
It's sad. I mean, we tried our best to hopefully convince them that they wouldn't tear it down, but they felt that it wasn't safe, so they tore it down.
After this bridge is dismantled, only 56 covered bridges will remain. In the 1950s, there were over 340. The transportation minister says the province has to be certain all bridges can handle the capacity they were designed for.
And when we see deterioration on a bridge, for one reason or another, we either lower the weight-bearing capacity of that bridge or we close that bridge down in some cases when it gets to be a little too extreme.
Jeanette LeBlanc says there are a lot of active snowmobile riders in the area, and the hope is some sort of replacement bridge will be in place for the winter season so they can cross the river. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Notre Dame, New Brunswick.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Time for a quick little break. When we return, your complete maritime weather forecast. Rain largely the story in the Halifax area this evening. Kaylin Mitchell's full forecast, including the nor'easter, when we come back. Tuesday night, second day of December, and it's still kind of raging out there, I guess.
Yeah, some areas will still be contending with some heavy snow and some heavy rain as we move through the remainder of the night and into the early morning hours of Wednesday. It's because of this developing storm, essentially a nor'easter, making its way up the eastern seaboard of the United States. Really found a sweet spot when it came to some colder air in place over the continent and milder conditions over the Atlantic, and that allowed that storm system to strengthen so quickly. Taking a look at our timeline then for cloud cover and precipitation, so still some heavy snow left to come for parts of the south of New Brunswick, for parts of Prince Edward Island, and for northern areas of Nova Scotia, including areas in and around the Annapolis Valley, Cumberland, Colchester counties, parts of the North Shore of the mainland, and up into the Cape Breton Highlands. Even those areas around Atlantic coastal Nova Scotia may turn back over to a period of snow early Wednesday morning, though accumulations there are expected to be quite limited. Still, I would be careful, but maybe the possibility of a couple slick spots. Into Wednesday afternoon, most of the snow is cleared out. There's a chance of some flurries around PEI and parts of Nova Scotia. Still some snow ongoing up in the Cape Breton Highlands, and New Brunswick will have cleared to a mix of sun and cloud. With the winds of this weather system, they ramp up early Wednesday morning into early Wednesday afternoon, especially for PEI and Nova Scotia, where out of the north and northeast, some of the peak wind gusts could come up between 50 and 80 kilometers per hour. Now, there's an exception to that, and that's where those wind warnings are out for parts of Cape Breton. Some of the peak gusts there could get closer towards 90. The winds are expected to diminish as we make our way through Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. Now, temperatures for tonight were at their coldest this evening. As we make our way through the rest of the night, in some cases, they're going to be rising a couple of degrees. High temperatures in the forecast for tomorrow in northern areas of New Brunswick between -5 and -1. Remember, it's lighter snow for that part of the Maritimes. Through central and southern areas of New Brunswick, though, for tomorrow morning, you might want to be careful about some snowy spots on the roads. The afternoon high temperatures between -3 and +1. Snowy roads are also possible around parts of Prince Edward Island for Wednesday morning. Afternoon high temperatures between 1 and 3 degrees. In eastern areas of Nova Scotia, up in the Cape Breton Highlands, there's going to be plenty of snow down. And same thing goes for parts of the North Shore of the province, areas of Pictou and Antigonish counties away from the coast. Again, snowy roads certainly possible, as there is possibly around Cumberland, Colchester counties and around the Minas Basin and the Annapolis Valley. Again, towards the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, it's mostly rain with this weather system. That split or that divide carries right into the southwest of the province, where high temperatures tomorrow will be between 3 and 5 degrees. In the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, there is some colder air moving back into place for the end of this week. So very cold on Friday and for the start of the weekend, with a fresh round of cold air arriving Sunday night into Monday. For Nova Scotia in the outlook, coming up on Thursday, it's a mixture of showers and flurries, with temperatures getting quite cold in behind it. For Friday, very chilly through the upcoming weekend, with another round of cold air arriving Sunday night into Monday of next week. And for Prince Edward Island, the forecast, some flurries and showers come through on Thursday, followed by a bit of a plunge in temperatures Thursday night into Friday. Cold start to the weekend, and then another round of cold air arriving Sunday night into Monday. Bruce.
Right you are. Thank you, Kaylin. Stay with us. We'll step aside for a couple of minutes. Be right back. Promise.
The #1 morning show in Halifax. Turk, Megan, and Amateur Alex. And home to the biggest artists. Halifax's #1 hit music station. 101.3 Virgin Radio.
So after Black Friday and Cyber Monday, today was Giving Tuesday, and charities were certainly eager to receive your support and a much-needed boost at this time of year. Unfortunately, it's harder than ever to give back these days, but as CTV's Vanessa Wright shows us tonight, generosity can come in many forms.
On the country's biggest day for charitable giving, more than 200 warming kits are being packed with care and consideration. Each bag filled with everyday essentials and winter gear will be delivered to shelters around Halifax. It's how United Way Maritimes and BMO are working together for those in need.
For many people in Nova Scotia, it's about choice. It's about, do I have Christmas? Do I feed my family? Do I pay my rent? And this is one small way we can make sure that people that are in need get a little bit of extra help at a moment in time when the season changes, and at a time when I suspect we could all use a little help.
And giving comes in many forms. Ronald McDonald House is raising money to provide food for maritime families staying or visiting at their Halifax and Moncton family rooms.
It's a chance to settle, to share a meal, to refuel, and to refocus so they can have the energy they need to focus on their ill or injured child.
Dr. Howard Conter is a board member with the Tema Foundation, a charity that provides mental and psychological support to first responders.
They're the ones who usually run into a situation when we're running out. There's lots of support for their physical health, but the overall support for their mental and psychological health is lacking. And we want to have them to be healthy, so when they retire from the profession, would be police, fire, EMS, corrections, anything else that they do, that they're healthy mentally and psychologically.
This Giving Tuesday, Dr. Conter's family will match the first $10,000 donated to the foundation. He hopes it will inspire others to do the same, no matter the cause. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you, Vanessa. Time for one last break tonight. Coming up, we'll meet a Nova Scotia researcher who's come up with a way to fight off the tick risk. Here's a live look at the Truro Civic Square, where it's currently 1 degree. Obviously, the weather having an impact there as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, if you didn't know, Nova Scotia has the most cases of Lyme disease in the country. So it's no surprise a ticked-off Nova Scotia researcher has come up with a way to fight off the risk. CTV's Mike Lamb takes us to Acadia University, where award-winning ideas to keep ticks at bay are being recognized.
My name is Nicoletta Farone. I'm an associate professor in the chemistry department at Acadia University, and I study ticks and natural products. So try to understand how ticks detect repellents and attractant, and use this information for designing and developing new repellent products. I've been working over the years with a Nova Scotia company, Atlantic. The product that we developed is fabric spray. There was nothing comparable on the market, specifically of natural products and essential oils that could be applied on your clothing, on your camping gears, for example. We have currently ongoing the registration process through Health Canada. The company will launch the product by next year. So hopefully you can find on the market and you can buy it for yourself. Ticks are almost totally blind, so they rely very much on their sense of smell to detect a potential host, understanding how they processed chemical signal. It's really fascinating, and if we can understand this mechanism, it can give us really the tools for properly developing new product for managing this pest. I've received the MITAC's Outstanding Innovation in recognition of the contribution that I provided in developing this new fabric spray formulation. I'm very honored that I have received this award. It's an incredible recognition for me, for Acadia University, and it represents how important it is in creating new product and in creating an impact in innovation. It's the highlight of my career, and was very happy to represent Nova Scotia.
It is important work, and we thank her for that. If you joined us a little late, you'd like another look at anything you've seen, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Always your home for news, updates right around the clock. I'm Bruce Frisco. Thank you for staying up late with us tonight. Have a good evening.